Today's May 17th, 2026. Current Bitcoin price is $78,021.
Welcome to the BitBite podcast, your source for news and information about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space. This podcast is meant for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not financial advice.
Man, oh man, I hope everybody took some time to enjoy time with their mothers. Whether it's the mother of your children, your mom personally, anything like that last weekend. We apologize that we didn't actually get to record an episode during that day, but and then I was out traveling again this last week, so I apologize we didn't get an episode out on the road again. I wish I was like with Willie on the road. That'd probably make it more fun.
I know you might not remember it. But
I don't recall that trip. I don't know what happened. It's crazy. How are you doing, Rick?
Doing good.
How are theoreticals doing?
Yeah, they're kind of staying kind of okay. First theoretical purchase back in October 2023. $3,000 could have bought you 0.0885 Bitcoin, and that price, or that $3,000 investment, is now worth $6,905. It's fallen since the last episode just a little bit, but not too bad.
Yeah.
Same with the second one. If we would have bought Bitcoin right at the halving 2 years ago, over 2 years ago now, April 19th, 2024, you would have paid, if you paid $1,000, you could have got 0.01564 Bitcoin, and that $1,000 investment's worth $1,220.
Man, and it's crazy. I kind of wish we would have recorded during Mother's Day, because we did actually have a pretty decent price rebound. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in a little bit, because we have quite a bit to cover today, just because we did miss last week's episode. But one of the first things to look at too, and we were looking at the ETF flows before we kind of got going here, and everything was looking pretty good at the end of April going into the beginning of May. And then we had a couple days of sell-off, which weren't too big, but then we had a big one on the 13th, which basically wiped out the big rebound we had on May 1st. So
$630 million.
Yeah, $630 million, which wiped out exactly what took place on May 1st, almost exactly, because that was $629 million. And that's where we started to kind of see the uptick. And what were you saying beforehand? Like that was it 6 weeks?
Oh, on the price action?
Yeah.
If you look at the weekly candles, Bitcoin will do its kind of meandering back and forth. And it's, kind of almost looking like it was like a bear flag in the price action. But I don't think we've ever seen a situation where Bitcoin gained in 6 weeks in a row. It went up until last week. This week looks like we're going to have the first red candle, at least first red weekly candle, because what did we close out at last week? Was it somewhere in the $80,000 range?
Let me take a look. So Thursday, let's see, Sunday, it looks like we were, and I don't know if this was the close, but we were at 82,449 on May 10th.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty interesting to see 6 weeks in a row. And I was like, man, if Bitcoin can really carry this momentum, we might see some type of maybe takeoff. But then here we are, down to 78. So
back to almost where we were.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the worst indication in the world, but I mean, if it does peter out, we could really see a massive sell-off here in the not too distant future.
Well, and
I've been calling for that for a while, and it's not materialized. So who knows?
Yeah, and one of the things too, like when we're looking at this, is that we did have the high. Actually, I think I misquoted before we kind of got recording. The high was actually on May 6th, and we hit 82,856. So we were almost back up to 83,000. We attempted to rally back up on May 10th. For that weekly close, and we were only able to get to 82,449. So we had the high and then we had a lower high, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of, it looks like that's been kind of the resistance is getting into that 83. And now we're kind of back to where we were basically almost exactly when we recorded. I mean, we're off by a few dollars here and there, but in the grand scheme of Bitcoin, like that changes minute by minute. So yeah, there's been a lot in the way of price action. I felt the same way as you did. I was like, well, maybe we are going to go right back up into some. I mean, obviously we had a lot of ground to cover still to get back up to the higher highs, but maybe we weren't going to see some of the sell-off that we were expecting, or if it was going to come later. And now we're right back to where we've been for, Jesus, it feels like months now, but not quite, because I know we did get down to like 68,000 at one point, right?
Yeah.
So
Actually, we got pretty low 60s, I thought.
we probably did. I'd have to go back and see, looking on the chart here.
It's like December sometime.
Yeah, we got down to 60, almost 59, but it looks like 60, 43, looks like 60 was the bottom. What was that?
Yeah.
What was that time frame? That was back in February.
Okay.
So we've been kind of grinding it out, but yeah, we're still not where we would want to be by any means, and we're still not what I would consider back in a bullish trend. I mean, we're trading sideways. Let's be honest, a little bit up, but sideways for the most part. There was one thing that I wanted to address, and we didn't have it in our initial listing of the show notes, but the Clarity Act has moved forward, got moved out of the banking committee on May 14th in a 15-9 vote, sending it to the full Senate floor for debate and a vote. The bill will now be debated a bit and amended on the Senate floor, where it will need 60 votes to overcome a filibuster. The House of Representatives will also need to vote on the amended Senate version before the bill can reach the president. And the White House has set a July 4th, 2026 signing deadline. But the rules aren't likely to take place until 2027. But if that can happen, that would be a big win. So it looks like the Senate version is being merged with a parallel bill from the Senate Agricultural Committee before the floor vote. Over 100 amendments were considered during the committee markup, with the contentious issues likely stablecoin yields and ethics provisions still unresolved. I'm guessing they're going to end up giving the stablecoin yields up to the consumer, and that's going to go back to the bankers. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you on that one.
So we'll see. I mean, we'll keep tabs on that as time moves forward. But yeah, that's just it's reassuring that it's getting some positive momentum. As to, what it's still going to do, I'm not sure. I'm still not completely sure on the CBDC aspect of it. I don't think there's a full ban in place or a proper ban in place to stop CBDCs. And just for your reminder, for those of you that don't remember, CBDCs are the central bank digital currencies. And I mean, they could take all kinds of different forms, in my opinion. It could be a stable coin that looks one way and actually acts as another. So that's my fear.
Well, I think whatever central bank digital currency we see, I mean, it's going to be predicated on a lot of things. Your social credit score, those type of things. You will, your access to your money will be not guaranteed after that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's in both ways, right? Like they may force you to spend it, especially if they want to stimulate economy. They can do all kinds of stuff with it. It's just censor your transactions. There was something that I saw the other day that kind of really harkens back to the power of Bitcoin again. And it said somebody was doing a money transfer through their banking institution. And it said, the transfer was approved. Meanwhile, whenever you're performing transactions on the Bitcoin chain, on the blockchain, your transactions are confirmed. There's a huge difference there.
Mm-hmm.
Confirmed over approved. Just keep that in mind. But some of the other news that we had to go into. So Kevin Warsh has been confirmed to be the new Fed chair. replacing Powell. Powell's still going to stay on the board. So that'll be kind of interesting to see how that power structure plays out. But it was 51-45 vote with only one Democrat, and that was Fetterman crossing the party lines. Man, that guy is like, he's almost like an honorary Republican at this point.
Kinda. I don't know. He just doesn't. He talks a good game about standing up to kind of the woke left, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of Republicans either. So in this two-party system where the uniparty system is what I really should call it, I just don't have a whole lot of faith in either side.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree. And for those of you that may listen to this podcast, we try and not be political. I know we have been, and that's just because of everything going crazy lately. I think we both are independent and probably a little bit more libertarian leaning for the most part.
Kind of, yeah.
But, yeah.
But not libertarian. Kind of crazy dorks. Yeah, no, not that far.
Not that far. So why this matters about Warsh and when we look at Bitcoin and the economy. So he's one of the only Fed officials to call Bitcoin a sustainable store of value, which is a big positive spin. And then he's also the person who's called Bitcoin the new gold for people under 40. And then he also believes that Bitcoin is a canary in the coal mine for inflation, which I think we may have even said something like that before on this podcast.
Yeah, I think it has that kind of tendency, but it's not fully realized yet.
Yeah. Now, the tension that he brings in is that he is philosophically pro-Bitcoin, but he's also hawkish on the monetary front. So he wants to reduce the Fed balance sheet, less quantitative easing, which is weird, tighter liquidity conditions. And to me, that's some of that stuff is in direct juxtaposition about what Trump wanted out of Powell. Or, or I guess it aligns exactly with what Powell was like in some ways.
No, those are the exact policies. Well, he's putting up a stronger defensive Powell policies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason Trump wanted him out of there. So, I mean, I don't really know how this is going to work, but sounds interesting.
Yeah, and I think this will be more positive in the long term for Bitcoin with Warsh. However, I think we're going to see a bumpy ride here in the near short term. And a big factor in that was we also got the report of CPI, which came in at 3.8%. It's the highest it's been in almost 3 years. And it was higher than what was predicted CPI was going to come in at, because CPI was predicted to come in at 3.7, as I recall.
Yeah. You remember the days when it was getting down to the low twos right before at basically the end of last year, this year?
Yes.
Man, that's a pretty good spike.
It is. And I mean, obviously, you know where the big spike came from.
Yeah, energy costs for sure.
Exactly. Energy costs accounted for 40% of the CPI increase. Trueflation right now, and I was just kind of curious to see what it's showing. It's showing an index of 2.07%, whereas the government reported 3.8. So gasoline prices jumped 28.4% year over year. Not a shocker. Went to the gas pump last night. The wife's car has got to take premium gas only. And so that was, I think it's $5 a gallon here locally, a little bit over.
Oh man. I mean, I just filled up my wife's van and it was getting close to $90. So I'm just like, dang.
Mm. Yeah. It's hurtful. That's all I can say. Airline prices jumped 20.7% year over year. So, and then the core CPI still rose 2.8%, showing broadening inflation. So basically what that means for you folks that may not know is that when CPI is running hot, which means it's going higher, that means the rate cuts are fewer. higher yields, stronger dollar, and then people sell off their risky assets, which Bitcoin is still kind of a risk on asset for the most part. Like when people are willing to gamble a little bit more with some of their money. We've seen it kind of go both ways though lately. Like it's gone in different patterns where it's been kind of considered like a risk off asset, where like the Iranian regime and I can't say necessarily the regime, but the people in Iran trying to hold on to their Bitcoin, or trying to hold on to their wealth were purchasing Bitcoin.
Well, in other Gulf states,
Mm-hmm.
that were getting attacked by Iran.
And we actually saw, and sorry to cut you off on that, but we actually saw too that Iran has been stated as saying that they'll take $1 of Bitcoin for every barrel of oil that goes through the Strait of Hormuz.
Their toll that they're charging.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's, also the reason why, Bitcoin kind of stalled out. There's a couple of reasons why Bitcoin kind of stalled out. One was this CPI print that we got that came out. And then we also had issues with Trump's trip to China with President Xi. So prior to the trip, the summit, was it a summit? Would you call it a summit? When is something like that considered a summit? Do you know?
Well, I don't know the strict definition, but when Trump's bringing a bunch of CEOs from America with him, that sounds like a summit.
Yeah. I agree. I didn't know if that's the proper terminology to use for that. So basically Bitcoin ripped above 81,000 earlier this month, driven by strong ETF inflows, geopolitical BTC demand, which kind of we were mentioning like with Iran and stuff like that, Middle East states in general, and market optimism around easing tensions in the Middle East. So that was kind of the big drivers. Now that kind of all ended as we got the pullback now. So hot CPI, Xi and Trump, Taiwan tensions, ETF outflows, and then higher yields and stronger dollar. So we've talked about that before. Like if the dollar goes up, that typically means Bitcoin's going to go down.
Yeah.
And the dollar is up. So yeah, generally speaking. I don't know. What are your thoughts on what's going on with all of that? I mean, obviously we don't know a whole lot out of China right now. Trump is going to spin it one way.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, this world is crazy. I don't think the dollar is particularly strong, but there's a lot of countries doing a lot worse that get their energy from the Strait of Hormuz. So in a way, with all this chaos, maybe dollar is the stronger thing to have at this time.
At this stage in the game.
Yeah, but you couldn't convince me not to get into gold and silver and Bitcoin right now. Yeah, that's just myself personally.
No, and I completely agree. I think it's interesting. I don't know exactly what Trump hoped to gain out of that. There was a lot of talk. I heard some discussion while I was traveling about Taiwan. Xi made it kind of pretty clear that he's going to try and make a move on Taiwan at some point in the near future. Trump neither confirmed nor denied that we would be supporting Taiwan if something like that happens. And then Xi also is turned down Jensen Huang from NVIDIA. Like he doesn't want to buy their chips, even though Trump made a rule that they could buy some of the more advanced ones now. And that's because China wants to create their own rather than being dependent on, the United States for their chip manufacturing. Which, I mean, let's be honest, China, even if they got a hold of just a handful of them, they would just reverse engineer it.
Well, the other side of this coin is, Taiwan is a pretty big player in the chip manufacturing thing. And so really one of the fears is that with everything that's going on in the world, what if China decides to just basically take over Taiwan and seize it?
Yeah.
So that's kind of a a concern that people in the West have.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. Like that's well, and I think honestly, like the only reason why we care about Taiwan at all is because of that reason.
Yeah.
So much of our future depends on those chips. Now, and I know this isn't, a chip podcast, but I mean, it is still technology driven. Apparently Intel's made a pretty big breakthrough in chip manufacturing that is above TSMC right now. So we'll see. I don't know how that's going to play out or what that looks like, or if it's just a short-term leap or if they just happen to get there first. But it looks like, I don't know if you heard about Elon Musk's big gigafab or whatever it is that he's working on.
No, I haven't heard about that.
So he's planning on building this huge chip manufacturing facility in Texas. He's calling it gigafab. And he's actually going with Intel's technology as opposed to TSMC. That's the rumor, anyways. So we'll have to see. But all that being said, I mean, we're looking right now at price action of below 80 again with Bitcoin. What is your thought for the close this afternoon? Do you think we'll be up higher or lower?
My guess is probably lower.
Yeah.
It's going to be a first red week in a while.
And I think you're right. I think it's kind of interesting that you're bringing it up, that we've had this nice little, I can't say a bull run, but I mean, it's been a upward positive price movement, right?
Yeah. Well, if you would have bought at the beginning, 6 weeks ago or 7 weeks ago now, you would have done pretty nice. That run up was pretty good.
Yeah. Yep. And then kind of the last big piece of news that we have to bring up here is Strategy. They did a big debt buyback. It was a quiet but massive move. So basically they bought back $1.5 billion of debt that would have been in the face value of it for $1.38 billion. So that immediately reduced their liabilities. I think they still have over $8 billion in debt, I think is what we were talking about before we got going.
Man.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
They roughly saved $120 million. This signaled their willingness to use cash, equity issuance, and Bitcoin sales as a backstop for the first time ever. And I think that's the biggest part of that, is that if they need
Bitcoin sales.
Yep. If they need to, they will sell Bitcoin. So this is their first major step in a multi-year deleveraging plan. They still hold $8 billion in total debt. And this strengthens their long-term survival and keeps Bitcoin strategy intact currently. So he didn't pay off all the debt, but he's looking at reducing the debt at a discounted rate if possible. While still
kind of
trying.
interesting.
Go ahead.
Because, I mean, his whole play for the past couple of years or so has just been leveraging the crap out of everything, right?
Yeah.
Just getting into Bitcoin. So looks like he's kind of hit a wall, or Michael's, strategies hit the wall on how much leverage they can put on everything.
And that's such a, we've said he's been a ballsy player on this scene the whole time, right? Like he just got buying and buying. What did we say? He's up to 818,000.
Yeah, we thought we were going to cross 1 million soon.
Yeah, I still think he'll probably hit it before the end of this year. Maybe we'll see. We'll see how his quarters play out. I don't know what their last quarterly results were on the market, but strategy as a whole, I think it's kind of an interesting play. It's been a ballsy play, and we've said before, like either this is going to blow up in his face, or he's going to look like a flipping genius.
Yeah, there's no middle ground on this strategy.
Strategy for strategy. Yeah, man. So there's a lot that kind of has taken place. We're still kind of right where we were last time we recorded, actually a little bit down. So I don't know. What's your feeling? Where are we headed? I know you said market, like I'm still predicting at some point we're still going to have the sell-off. It feels like we still have to have that sell-off, and I don't think we've hit it yet.
No, we have not seen the sell-off. And I think the next sell-off, you said the low that we saw in February was 60,000. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to go below that. Now, how much below that? I don't know. 50,000 almost seems like a stretch now, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, that is true.
So yeah, in the next few weeks, I'm not too worried about it. I'm just more concerned about like some crazy crash coming, and then that's the opportunity to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. When do you think? You still thinking into Q3 going into Q4?
Yeah, I think Q3, Q4, somewhere late Q3, early Q4, that's probably where it's going to happen. So say October, maybe even, anywhere from August to October is when I think it's probably going to happen.
Yeah. Yep. It's been nuts to kind of watch, and we'll have to kind of play it out and see where it kind of heads from here. But dollar cost average is always a good strategy if you're looking to purchase some. If you want to try and play the game, then maybe you want to wait and do a big bulk purchase. If we do get a downturn, it's always hard to pick the bottoms.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin is so leveraged in the stock market right now. Like there's so much paper Bitcoin that exists. You got to be careful with that.
Absolutely.
So,
yep. It's not your Bitcoin until it's on your wallet.
Absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree with that. Anyways, yeah, that's kind of what we had for today. Is there anything else you want to add in?
That's it for me.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening, and we will be talking to you all again soon.
Bye.